Hey everyone, my name is Leo Young, and welcome to the 10th episode of the J.T.A Podcast, the first podcast of 2018. With me, I have Screeching Baby, Kid Wicked.
Yo.
He master himself, Apple Van Jack.
Hey everybody.
Rowdy Rodriguez, Orbital Spirit. Watch what you say after that, Orbital.
You're supposed to say it's me.
No,
It's me.
Kid Shift, returning from the grave.
I want to die again.
And our newest, I won't say host, our newest person, Minor Blackout.
Dude.
Who also happens to share the same first name as me, which is disappointing in all hell. And I am your gracious host, Leo Young. And we would like to say thank you for coming to listen. I know that was probably the longest.
1, 2, 3.
One. Oh yeah, Orbital likes to fuck with me because I always forget to record. Anyways, we have a very special treat with you for you. I hope you have a treat with you. I'm hungry. Africa. Anyways, so how are you guys doing this week?
I am doing very well today.
Doing alright.
It's my soul. Yeah, I'm being a black guy in America, you know.
You are.
The best,
Dang, that's
it's the
tough.
best thing you could be in America.
You're the most,
really not.
you're the most disappointing group of people I've ever had to work with, and I've worked with children. Anyways, so we have 3 main topics to talk about, but each one of these topics themselves is so large in the grand scheme of well, 2 of them are. The middle one I would have to say is in itself mainly involved with comic book reading people. So we're going to start with that because, as you know, the Justice Teams of America originated from DC Universe Online, a DC Universe MMO. So, topic is DC Heroes Mental Health. Now, I'm not sure if every one of you have heard. I've talked about it with Wicked. I'm sure Orbital and Van were in the room when I did. But essentially, DC has recently begun talking about a series or a plot device called The Sanctuary. Now, the idea is from Batman writer Tom King, heroes, yes, they are heroes, and they constantly save us. However, they save us from violence by using violence. And the idea of that is, I believe it must have come from Batman, because Batman is mentally unstable. He's insane himself. He's even mentioned it. The idea is the Sanctuary is a place that Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman set up to stop other heroes from flipping that switch. If you remember, I don't remember, maybe the 80s or 90s, Coast City, Hal Jordan City, was destroyed. Yes, and that did send him insane, but Parallax was involved. But the idea is an individual who's a superhero to deal with something like that. How Barry Allen's wife was killed and his baby died in her stomach. Or how you lose a son as Batman has. All of these heroes, DC related and Marvel related of course, must be dealing with mental scarring. So the real conversation about that is I want to ask each person in the chat right now what their opinions on this type of thing is, because for me that's very realistic. I like the idea that they are lowering the standards of what a hero is, because the odd thing about it is, while I love Marvel, I 100% believe if DC came to Marvel's universe, DC would wreck them, because all of their characters are essentially gods and kings and queens and goddesses, not trying to offend anyone, or a trans god, if you would,
Or a Mexican.
yeah.
I mean,
Why didn't you even stop?
All right, hold up. Order. We made it far. I'm gonna go one at a time. I'm just not gonna ask Orbital. Orbital, you gave your answer at what you're terrified. Van, do you have anything to say about this whole, the idea of Sanctuary?
I think I really like it. It welcomes a realistic approach to how heroes would deal with the situation of oh yeah, like you said yesterday, the heroes on a consistent basis have to go through almost psychological warfare when they have to go into fighting actual situations, like when they have to save the day. They always have to cause some sort of harm, or they're in some sort of harm themselves, or they get to see this kind of harm. So I'm just thinking it makes sense that they shed light on on the subject, you know, because what happens to all the heroes that, you know, are scarred from looking at their friends, family, close ones, or even just people of the community, you know, deal with all this. So, and also just psychologically too, you don't know if a hero has, you know, like mental incapacities, or if there's something, you know, further than just being a hero, you know. It's kind of relieving to see that they want to take an approach where they're realistic and realizing that, oh, these heroes are also just as human as they are superhuman, you know.
I see.
So I think that's a nice approach that they're doing right there. It's certainly realistic, and I'm glad they're finally bringing light to that.
All right, cool. Thank you. Shift, you're next. Your thoughts on the idea of sanctuary?
Honestly, Apple pretty much covered everything. Like,
You guys agree with Apple with what he said?
just the fact that being a superhero, and like especially in the DC universe and Marvel universe, it can be very stressful. Like the fact that for the good chunk of a lot of the characters' publications, they handled situations rather unrealistically. Like, yeah, they know the magnitude of the situation at hand. Like, yeah, if they don't do this, a lot of people are gonna die. But like the aftermath of that, writers don't really deal with the aftermath. It's like, oh shit, like I almost fucked up and all these people almost died or something like that. But yeah, basically Apple covered most of it. It's a great approach, realistic and all that.
All right, cool. Everyone agree with that though? Everyone for also by
Yeah.
the way, longtime member of the group. I don't really know what to call her. I guess I'll just continue with Toby. Has joined the podcast. She's going to keep herself muted for most of it though, for a good reason. For me, I have one last thing to add. I'm hoping that everyone here agrees that it's a very interesting idea and it's very realistic what they're doing, but I hope that DC isn't creating Sanctuary basically to go like, hey, mental health disorder, we can bank off this one, you know what I'm saying, Bobby? Because not to be rude, but heroes, DC, Marvel, not just those two, but they're the main ones, have been known to use race or SJW standpoints to basically appeal to other people, to what they believe the popular crowd is. Marvel more so than DC, but DC has done it. The biggest example would be for Marvel.
Superman punched Trump in the face.
That never happened, so shut up.
Don't build that wall.
I'm muting him. Anyways, the biggest thing for some people would be for me is the whole the way they use Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel for all of you people who don't know that or agree that her name should be Captain. How they treated her. She's basically this female who's the embodiment of feminism in some writers' names, and all she does is flex her muscles and all this, but sometimes there's that undertone idea that Marvel had hidden in so many publications. They hid it in M-Day, they hid it in Civil War 2, but her main thing is, while she is a strong female character, she's afraid of being forgotten. Recently, Marvel's writers seem to have forgotten all of this and is like, instead of making it more like she's just a normal female who's afraid of being forgotten, she's the buffest. She's the ideal woman. They even do it with like Kamala Khan. I know some people were afraid that they made her just to like hit off at the Middle Eastern type of a crowd, even though there are already Middle Eastern characters. They created that character because they thought it would be a fun, interesting spin on the idea of Miss Marvel. All right, but we're not trying to make a statement here. We're not trying to say anything about it. We like the idea that DC is using this idea of the Sanctuary instead of a way to bank off of it. It's to show the readers that the strongest of heroes, the strongest people that you let me think. The strongest of the people, you look up to, that these role models that you follow are just as human as you. If you have some mental issues, go get help. Go ask for help. Don't be afraid to talk about it. And that is basically what I'm hoping that this idea of sanctuary is trying to reach. So, anything else on that before we move to the next topic?
Am I still muted?
No, Orbital, you're not muted. Just stop making comments like that.
He was laughing in the background. Ooh, her laugh is funny. I like it. It soothes my soul. You want to move on?
He's gonna hit his mom on a brick. Shut up.
Yo, what if we just hear him screaming, "Mom, shut the fuck up! I'm doing a podcast." Fuck! God damn it!
I mean,
You already brought me into this world without me asking you. You fucking laughing during my podcast.
I mean, it's like that, you know. I do it every day.
Man.
I don't know. Everybody is fucking gone.
Hold on, I'm gonna try to think of something. So this one time at band camp, right?
Yeah.
JK, I didn't go to band camp.
Dang, you got me.
One time at band camp.
And I'm back. My mother said you can all kick rocks.
Okay.
I don't know what insinuated this. I don't think she likes Orbital straight up. But
damn.
What I do?
I don't know. But for some reason, grown women don't like you. I've shown this podcast to like people my age and younger. They're like, "Man, you're funny." Anyone older than 23, they don't have a high opinion of you.
They look at you with disdain. That's crazy.
This little immature little bastard. Need to shut the fuck up.
Anyways, all right. Now that I got him friggin' edit that part out.
You're the immature. Okay.
Hey, next comment. I mean, not comment. Please don't speak. Next topic. This one. Let me start my old computer up because this one is a legendary one.
It's Fable.
Fable what?
So everybody, this is an old member, Fable. He joined first time podcast. Give him a round of applause.
Everybody I have to say thank you to everybody who's joined in. Let me. All right, we're gonna take a quick 2 to 3 minute break so I can explain to them the rules, and we'll be right back after this imaginary sponsor. Hey everyone, we are back. So we hope you enjoyed that ad. Women are people too. Next, we have 2 topics. We have superhero registration or the YouTube's anti-channel policy. Which one would you guys like to speak about?
Yeah.
Nobody let him make any decisions because he doesn't actually make them.
The YouTube, not the YouTube, the superhero shit.
Superhero.
Okay, one at a time because one of you is whispering under Orbital, and that was annoying. Orbital wants superhero. Shift wants superhero. Blackout wants superhero. Van.
Yeah, because who likes YouTube?
What do you think we're posting this?
Facebook. Everybody talks, smack about YouTube on YouTube.
That is true. Everyone, like, you never see people on Twitch go like, "Man, fuck YouTube." All right, so it seems everybody here is more comfortable talking about the Superhero Registration Act. Wicked, are you there?
No, he did.
I am still here.
I want you to basically explain what the Superhero Registration Act is while I find this folder.
Alright, so, Superhero Registration Act. Basically, the feds control who you save, when you save them, where you save them, and essentially what the fuck you do, okay? And they control when you wipe your ass, when you go to bed, when you eat, when you sleep, when you drink the fucking water, and...
But what if my superhero doesn't have an ass?
True.
What about the
True.
superpower?
They control your mouth.
True.
Fucking mouth. Your eyes. Whatever the fuck you got, they control it.
I feel like we should have been
Your
prepared for orbital.
orifices. Your multiple orifices. The C's.
Orifices.
I'm sorry, I don't defecate from my eyes, dude.
You know what the fuck I meant.
Do you know what he means?
No, he out here.
Yeah, you're a soldier
every
now.
hole in my body, but he can't. Oh, never mind.
You done? You done, Van?
I'm done.
All right, cool.
I'm done.
All right, for some strange reason, I am unable to find these god dang notes.
Basically, here's the.
Oh, hold up.
It's a bit-
Here's the what?
He
Here's the
dropped
what?
out. He dropped out. He's back though.
Okay. Well, basically, here's the gist of it. The government controls who you save, when you save them, where you save them, and whether or not it's appropriate for you to save them. So say for instance.
Yeah, true.
Well,
I get it. I feel it.
I get you. That's
Wicked, you
soul.
dropped out again.
Soul power.
say for instance.
I can never do anything freely. All right, so basically, what Wicked was trying to say. Wicked was saying it correctly. He was just saying a little harshly.
Okay. Hello?
Hey, you're back.
Alright.
Hey.
So, what I was trying to say was, the government, say there's an alien invasion. The government, the UN, whoever, they're gonna decide whether or not it's okay for you to go save the people being invaded.
Yeah, you know, I'd rather them tell me to go out than I just go out and die. You know what I mean?
I really
Like I have no.
I'm gonna let
Actually-
him explain this. I'm gonna let him do this before I
Actually, no, I don't want no, because if I don't want to go out and save somebody, I don't have to. If I have my own choice, you know what I mean. But if the government's like, "Hey, you gotta go save that little bitch over there," and I'm like,
All right. And I'm
Okay.
back. So
That's enough from you.
Wicked did explain the superhero registration correctly. Everyone knows about the legendary Marvel Civil War event that happened back in, oh my goodness, we're old. So while Wicked was right, he was explaining it a bit more intensely than it actually is.
"We gotta go.
Huh?
Wicked gotta go."
All right.
Alright, then.
Anyways, so
Bitch boy.
the idea basically is superheroes are registered with the government. They register their name and their power. However, the reason for that is because there are a number of individuals, and I suppose it is true, with similar powers, such as Zoom or Flash. Now, Wicked is correct. The government that you are registered with will basically, if you are a superhero, alright, not all of them are superheroes. Some of them are just people with powers, which makes sense to register them. If you are a superhero, you're basically you're a cop or a military guard, something like that. Shift. Stop doing the clapping thing.
I'm not doing anything.
Something like that. Essentially, okay, back to his whole alien thing. Yes, if the aliens attack, the government will tell you to go back and fight them. However, the reason they do that is because if you've ever read a comic, you must know that every Avenger or every member of the Justice League will go to that fight, and that is why people die. The government will basically sit there and decide which heroes are correct for the certain situation that is coming. If people are being attacked in the Middle East, even DC has touched upon this. Superman flying over to the Middle East creates an issue. The strongest version of the idea of superhero registration and what would superheroes do if they had no control would be Injustice, Gods Among Us, the comics, where Superman basically did whatever he wanted and he wiped the floor. So right now, I want to basically talk to these people because every one of us has superpowers.
Also, so you know, superheroes are gonna be like nukes now.
Yeah. Everybody has superpowers, so I basically wanted to ask everyone here about their position in if we had to register. Pro reg, you're for it. Con reg, you're against it. I already have a list here from a couple years ago where I asked everyone. I have a pretty much a basic description, and I will read for you if you want, against your will. As a registered superhuman, you have signed a legal document stating that you are working for the U.S. government as an agent. By signing, you are relinquishing your secret identity, which will be kept from the public and a majority of the government. You will be called upon when your skills are needed for a specific situation. In that case, it's basically saying there's a fire, so we're going to send someone who can increase the amount of oxygen in the area. However, as an agent of the U.S. government, you will not be allowed to enter conflicts unless given permission. Registering gives you a number of advantages: police powers, functional and legal backing, and the right to appear in court and testify under your superhero identity. Again, without revealing your true identity to the world. Yes, you can testify as the masked Enigma if you have to register that identity. Furthermore, it gives you access to the intelligence that Primus, or you gotta read into that, has on various supervillains and other threats. There are clear responsibilities of the act, as mentioned, if you agree to have things like no unnecessary killing, minimize collateral damage, and follow the legal process of capturing said villains. Bear in mind that by not registering, you are considered a vigilante and thus by default wanted by the law. So not only do you get any of the nice benefits, you also have the cops on your tail. You'll be given the normal package of healthcare, dental, education, yada yada yada. And that is the document that I was able to steal from my visit to the Marvel building.
Oof. That's
So you asking
classified.
if we can? I mean,
If you're for or against it,
or
you don't have
I'm on.
as a
one
character,
one at a time. One at a time. Yes.
as our character, or just
If you had your character superpower,
in general.
like you, just
So I have a book.
if you were
So
orbital.
if I'm orbital, then I'm with it. I'm with it. If I'm orbital, I'm with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Van.
Yeah, I guess with like that reasoning, I would say I'm probably on board with it. But if I had to be realistic and say if I had those powers, I'd probably say no, just because I'm an irresponsible person. You know, realistically.
Alright.
So you know,
Minor blackout.
I mean, yeah, I'd be for it because I mean it sounds fair, but I mean it's the government, so I don't know. But
Alright.
just looking at the document sounds fair.
All right, now this is the main event of the night. It's about to be Blur versus Shift on this one. Shift. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. You want to go first or me, man?
No. You. The floor is yours.
Okay. Alrighty, man. Okay. First off, man. Oh, man. Where to start? So, I'm calling for multiple reasons. Well, one, you can't really trust our government. You really can't. Project MK from shit from like Project MK Ultra and shit like that to say they have telepaths within their ranks. They can make the general public see whatever they want, basically. And then my memory's ass right now, but did Wicked say something like the government tells you where you can go whenever, like if there's just something happening or something like that?
Now,
right?
the way
Correct?
Rickett explained it was a hell of a lot more aggressive. He's saying that they control every single aspect of your life. However, no.
Oh yeah, I know that's not the case, but they have the ability to tell me where I can go to help people. So I was doing research, and apparently when Hurricane Katrina hit in 4, a lot of people could have been potentially saved by due to lack of response time from the government, from the local government. So say if something like that is happening and I know I have the abilities to save people, I'm gonna go despite what the government says. There's another one where there was a drone kill. The government, if I don't register, knowing how the government has worked in our real world in the past, they could potentially go after the ones I love because they're associated with me. That's no bueno at all, obviously. What else? Plus I smoke weed, so I'm obviously against that shit. They don't legalize that shit. You know what I'm saying? Fuck these motherfuckers, taking my weed and shit. But yeah, my main issue though is response times. Whereas if I had Shift's powers, I could, depending on the situation, I could have super speed or something like that to help, get to somewhere quicker. A cop, the average response time for a cop or ambulance is 12 minutes or something like that. I'm pulling that out my ass, but I was listening to something earlier and it was like 12 minutes. But especially if I'm more capable than a cop or whatever other type of like response team there is, I'm obviously going to take that chance. Them restricting me on where I can go to save lives is honestly just wrong. It's just bad. You can't really, especially if I'm more capable, you can't really tell me what to do.
See, my issue with this is that registering it, the whole registry implies that without it, we're a disorganized mess. That we can't function without being registered is what I guess it implies. Really, unfairly.
Again, but I'm especially if like the powers like even OS like fun fact or whatever, you're more capable just by writing in like these people. Fun fact, the fire is made out of is like it's not even real or some shit like that, or however your book works. Like you're just by writing whatever into that book, you're literally more capable than firefighters or even Blur. Like you're more capable. You can get all those people out of a collapsing building quicker than any type of rescue team can. But if the government restricts that, saying no, you can't go there due to whatever reason, and they might have someone of interest or not interest necessarily, of interest in like say a hostage situation, and your mission is just to get that person. Like, what about all the other people? You're just gonna let those people, stay hostages or something like that? Like, Blur, I believe you said something like there's no when it comes to like the law or something like that, there's no no. I'd be wording it wrong, but you said something like there's no right or wrong, or there's something on the lines of that. But there is no matter what, there is right or wrong, despite what the law, like, just because it's law doesn't mean it's always right. That's why I'm mainly, just by saying that, that's why I'm mainly against the registration, because it's law to register all that, but it's not necessarily right. And I feel like I've always been on, like, especially in the Civil War event, that's why I was on Captain America's side, because not getting conspiracy theorists or anything, but like, we would be basically in the pockets of our politicians. Say they have, or say like the government has problems somewhere and they need to be covert about it, and that mission requires killing innocents in a different country. You really think that's right? Because we're registered and we have to, because they told us to be sent there. That's not right. And I'm pretty sure something else will pop up right in my head, but I'm done for now. But
okay,
I mean,
the thing is, with my powers, if I go con, I'm gonna die because I can't run away. Like they're gonna send heroes for me, and I'm gonna die easily. So I'd rather be with the government.
My reason for going pro, simply enough, not you, Minor Blackout. Every single one of you motherfuckers in this group chat has pissed me off because you've done something irresponsible. I have too. My thing is, it's a personal reason, just a shift. I've seen us. A lot of the times we are very, very unresponsive, very uncontrolled. And I'm not saying we need someone to put shackles on us, but we do need structure. Shift, you're correct. There are some things that the government is holding back on, especially like if one of them goes like, hey, go kill this person in this other country. All right, so first off, I'm not gonna like dispute everything you say. I'm just gonna like respond to like some things, because you did bring up some facts that are entwined with mine. So first of all, I want to say, let's go with the assassination or the fire thing. Not fire. Let's say there's a riot in let's say Detroit, Michigan. Their smoothies are now filled with lead, and they're rioting because they love to riot. And they send a hero down there, and one of the politicians says, "Kill them all." Now, no matter who you are, if you have common sense, you have the ability to say no. Unless you're a psychopath like Orbital, you would kill them all. But a person with common sense is just like, no, I'm not gonna do this. Even cops nowadays, there are all these situations where they're like, oh, the military is our enemy. If like video games put the military or the cops as your enemy. Yes, military does listen to the government, but they understand the difference between right and wrong. You're right, there is right and wrong, and there's also common sense to help you decide which one is right and which one is wrong. As for telling us what to do, Katrina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Katrina, a building that's crumbling and all that, or a woman getting robbed. It's not like we have to sit there and be like, okay, a woman's getting robbed. Let me call my government agent and ask him what I'm supposed to do. No, if a cop sees a woman getting robbed, you can stop him. Even if a civilian sees a woman getting robbed, you can stop them. If a building is on fire, just like the scene in Spider-Man 2, a man ran in, like an idiot, you know who, and saved the family. You have the ability to do that. It's these major events. Alright? Private companies went off. What noise is that? Oh, shift. Private companies went out and went into Katrina. They went into Texas for Hurricane Irma. Civilians went into these areas and helped these people out. You don't have to just sit there at every single step waiting for someone to tell you what to do.
Oh, I'm not like.
Oh no,
I'm
I
not
know
saying like.
but I also have to like
Yeah.
explain to everyone who's not like fully.
Okay,
Yeah, who's not fully like grasping every straw. Because for me, it's like, the alien invasion comes up. Like I said, everybody goes up to fight them. Fun fact about Superman, he actually can't breathe in space, but he's much more effective than, let's say, sending ice from the Justice League International. Or fire, because there's absolutely no oxygen up there. They would send the people who are more readily prepared. Best suited, readily prepared for these situations. And like you were saying, yes, there could be like those times where they go like, all right, we know which superhero is an assassin, but or not an assassin, but like a person who's willing to get down and dirty. But again, it's like registering. Registration, sorry, helps hold that idea of control, or not control, understanding together. Let me explain that. Give me someone's power. Let's say mine. All right. I've registered with the government. Someone in Saudi Arabia has been assassinated. They can pretty much figure that out. They're like, all right, a speedster killed them. We just gotta go ask who did it. Well, it's not gonna be that simple. You know how governments are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's much better to just go like, yes, we sent someone to kill this person, instead of like
The government's not as straightforward like
Yeah.
that. They're gonna keep
Instead
it
of-
secret.
imagine it like this. This hero went off and killed this person. You have undeniable proof that this hero went off and killed someone in your country. This person is one of our agents. We have to take the fall for that. I don't think they would actually risk using metahuman, homo magi, or any. We're not going to add tech people into this because, no offense, while they do not have powers, while they are useful, they do not have powers. So there's really nothing to register for, you know? This is metahuman registration. This is not superhero registration. So right now we're talking about like if you're a hero. After we can talk about how it would affect civilians, because it's really honest. It's really obvious how it would work with civilians. It would be like the NRA. You register a gun like you're registering your explosive powers. But what were you about to say, Van?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say I think I get that.
Yeah. But I think I got most of it. It's like being a cop or a soldier. Yes, there's someone standing above you. If you have authority issues, I understand that you would not be down for it. But in the end, it is a more efficient and structural way to help with the hero community, with people with powers who want to go out and do this. Imagine like being a superhero is being a cop, basically, in a world where we register. Simple as that.
It's just a matter. Well, it's like you said earlier about registering, in the NRA, wanting to get a gun per se. They're just registering, to be responsible. They want to know who can they rely on, who's on their team. They don't want random superpowered, people, superheroes or whatever, just willy-nilly just going out and saving the day because they can just cause a ton of collateral damage that they don't want to have to deal with. They want to have it really organized where they can just get the job
But if you
done.
have superpowers, you're gonna have collateral damage. Like this, if you're having a superhero like superpowered brawl, collateral damage is unavoidable at that point. Especially if there's, you know, an alien invasion. Of course, that's gonna be unavoidable.
Agreed.
Unavoidable. But yeah, like if you're fighting a superpowered person that's robbing a bank or something like that, and you don't necessarily have, you know, the right powers to get it done quickly, you know, and it has the power, not the power, the fight like is prolonged, then yeah, there's going to be collateral damage. Same thing, there's going to be collateral damage even if there's a cop on.
Correct. And I'm glad you mentioned
Blur,
that.
blur, 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 blur.
What? I know
Like-
he's in. I know he's in.
No,
Oh.
your background.
My background.
Yeah, it was like.
That was gold.
Oh, that was
Gold's-
gold.
Yeah. By the way, everyone, Gold is here. I'll fill him in like a quick second. But what you're saying, Shift, you actually brought an idea to my head. Something I've seen. If a superpowered fight goes down, there's going to be collateral damage. Correct. There is a scene in the new Avengers where I don't think anyone's seen this. One of the Wrecking Crew basically fights Wolverine, Luke Cage, Spider-Woman, and Spider-Man, and these dudes are failing. Let me explain to you. The Wrecker is a person with an enchanted crowbar who has knocked the out of Thor. So they've sent 4 small level heroes. No offense to Wolverine, 4 small level heroes to deal with him. When instead they could have sent someone like the Hulk, because that enchanted hammer only hurts Thor. To anyone else, it's a normal hammer. So send it like let's say Parasite is on the streets. Now yes, Apple Van Jack's dinner can come and help with the clinkety clackety.
I know, right?
Or you can send the correct individuals to go in and deal with it. Alright? You don't have to sit around and wait and be like, alright, we need to sit down. It's like, no. That's the idea of Primus, or Primus. Primus. It's basically a system that allows you to know what this supervillain or the threat, like their powers, their weaknesses, is like, okay, cool. We know what they are. We know what they can do. Send out Batman, because he's mentally able to handle this individual as a power. Boom. It's done. It lowers and minimizes collateral damage. Yes, there are some times where it's like Superman fights Parasite, and there's all this issue. But there is proof that certain supervillains cannot actually handle certain superheroes, just like certain superheroes cannot handle certain supervillains. Sorry if I'm speaking too fast.
You are
You're
blurry.
getting the point across.
Yeah.
I mean, just one question, but
Hi, Gold.
to question the system. Hey, let's get back to Flanagan's, but
It is a conversation of pro registration versus con registration.
so you mean like the thing? So you mean like you mean registration? You mean like in?
I gotta read this. Okay,
How do I
so
explain this?
I'll quickly read this again. As a registered superhero or superhuman, you have signed a legal document stating that you are working for the U.S. government as an agent. By signing, you are relinquishing your secret identity, which will be kept from the public and a majority of the government.
Yeah, like because they Cause I've got
There are
a
also
question.
leaks, you know that, right? Like
There's
nothing
leaks
ever-
everywhere.
I
There's
was
leaks
gonna
everywhere.
mention like I think I saw something like that in Man Punch or something like.
Yeah, there's.
Well, look at it like this. All right, let's say you're not a registered superhero, and you're
I
a
mean, I
secret.
understand the system.
Oh no, I'm just want to get this leak part out because when you guys say something, it helps me. Like, oh, I forgot to mention this too. I guess. Imagine there is a leak, or not a leak. I'm sorry. Your secret identity is now out there. I did not read this last part, the question and answer system at the bottom of the document. Answer A is your family is protected by the U.S. government. As a non-registered hero, no offense, no one's there to watch them. So continue, Gold. Sorry.
Yes, but I had a question. I was just mainly gonna throw out a question.
Go ahead.
against the system, but in terms of
Don't be shy.
Yeah, you can come sit on my lap when you want to ask. I'm right here.
We don't bite unless you're into that.
Jump on
I know
it,
Apple is.
let's do it. Right.
Oh, copyright! Copyright! I'm gonna stop it.
All right, Gold. Seriously though, ask.
Disregarding that man's teeth has some
Good talk.
some sharp edges.
Whose teeth are you
So-
talking? You know what? Never mind.
One over there,
Where are you?
somewhere.
Is Gold talking?
Gold's talking.
He has
So-
a shark by him.
He's saying some creepy
So-
stuff.
Okay, so the question
I'm
is,
glad I
like,
don't hear that.
I mean, I think the idea
I
of
don't hear nothing
registration.
from him.
He's asking a question. Hold on.
Turn him up. Turn him
Oh,
up.
there we go. I had him on mute for some reason.
Okay, so the idea of a registration system, I find it kind of interesting because, you know, on one hand, you know, you have everything organized. On the other hand, you know, who's running that system and, you know, government on top of that, it can get kind of messy when you try to put registration on, you know, a moral, well, from a moral viewpoint. But the question I wanted to bring up was
Mm-hmm.
the issue of, you know, upcoming and unpredictable, you know, circumstances where it's like there's so much going on, you know, like all these villains, you know, they come up together, or, you know, threats, perhaps, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes new threats, apparently. And if it rises to a level where it's like, you know, you can't keep up because there's only can only keep up at a certain speed or a certain pace. What is your response to that?
My response to that is I have absolutely no idea what you just asked me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Would you mind dumbing that down for me?
I think he has the same question I do.
Oh,
So,
what?
like, there's all these new threats that come up at once.
Okay.
How would you deal with that?
Yeah.
Because
Alright.
people would get overwhelmed.
All right, time to trump this one up.
Donald.
So you see, Gold. I don't fucking know how Donald trumps. I never actually heard the man in my life.
Donald.
So basically, you're asking how will we deal with new threats?
If the system gets like
Dealing with new threats would most likely be the same as dealing with just about a new threat. It's like you go in and you assess the situation, you see what works, and if it doesn't, but either way, that answering that question is just it's like even if you're
Like how cops do it.
even if you're con or a pro, you're gonna have to learn this person's power or the threat somehow, some way. Sometimes, like, I know the Justice League does use the Flash as a way to tell the situations. Like, Flash, I want you to go in, see if anything's off, see if anything's like not right about the area, and come back. And he'll come back and he'll say yes, this, and this, and they'll try and devise a plan to deal with that. Or they'll make a mistake, something bad happens, but it's the next time that they have to get it. It's like if the first fiery water tornado ever appeared, we have absolutely no clue how to deal with that. We have to do it the next time. We have to do our best to stop it the first time. But the second time is like we at least have the data and the knowledge and the know-how to get rid of it a little faster or a little sooner. All right.
Because you don't just know the counter to your first interaction with something new.
You don't know how sex is until you actually have it.
Pretty much.
You can dream. You can
He's
look
not
at your
wrong.
you can look at your fishbowl as much as you want, but it's not the same. Dorothy does not feel the same as pussy. I'm sorry, Gold.
Nigga, no. Whoa.
What was your question though, Blackout? You said you had a question. Was that the same?
Oh,
thing?
I was just saying it was like sort of like the same question was like I know I voted like pro registration, but like my biggest thing about like not trusting the government is not necessarily not trusting them, but not trusting their ability to respond faster than a superhero who knows what they're doing would be able to respond.
Yeah. In my own honesty, while I am pro registration, I do feel that is the major issue, because a group of humans, while they are very interesting and they're cute and they're funny little creatures,
And squishy. Don't forget squishy.
very squishy. Oh, you little squishy things! I just want to. Anyways,
Smack your neck, you know?
anyways, while humans, they're interesting. You can put a quote from Mass Effect. Amazing, I know. You can put 3 Asari, no, fuck that shit. 8 Asari in a room, they'll have the same idea. Put 8 humans in a room, everyone's gonna have something completely different. Which comes to the fact that
let me kill this bitch, or let me eat this man because I'm hungry.
what state do you live in? That this is
You say you put
isn't
humans in a room.
But what
gonna
is the
be starving.
situation of this human? Is this
I
Fallout?
thought you said they're like trapped. I thought you said
Here's
they're
a fun
trapped
No.
in a
fact for
room.
you, Orbital.
No.
Killing a person is illegal. Cannibalism isn't.
No, cannibalism
You
is
can-
illegal.
But he said he was trapped. They
No,
were
I
trapped.
said 8 humans in a
Oh.
room.
Oh, I was like, oh,
You're
okay.
not trapped, dude. They're just in a room.
Jesus Christ. I don't want to be in a room with you. 5 minutes in, I want to eat this man. You've been here for 5 minutes.
He came in with the idea.
Exactly.
I mean, unless he wasn't human.
Unless he wasn't human. Anyway, but like, sorry we're getting off topic, but really that is the issue. Just the speed of it. And you would have, and it does make me wonder because sadly enough, no comic has really delved into the idea of what a real pro-registration and non-registrated world will look like. Like, yes, Civil War did a good job, but they didn't go into like, the entire event was just Civil War. It was basically just that. The heroes fighting. It wasn't a normal like situation. Even after the comics ended, the main like focus was these registered heroes or the non-registered Avengers. But I would like to see how the government actually does respond to a lot of situations and how fast they're willing to do it. I would like to see if heroes would be like, hey, hold up. I would like to see if heroes would be like, hey, there's a burning building. Not burning building. Give me a situation, Gold. I said Gold.
That damn AI, Brother Eye is taking over.
Man, Gold, you sound so different. All right, so let's say Brother Eye is taking over, and the government is like, all right, we need to figure out what to do. But there's 2 heroes who know how to deal with it. All right, they don't tell anyone, but they know how to deal with it, and they're registered to the government. They're like, hey, we want to go do this because this is how they defeat him. And they're like, well, Brother Eye is using this new tactic. We're not really sure about it. And the heroes go off and they do it anyways, and they save the day. It does make me sit down and wonder, basically, how the government would react to that, if they would reprimand them or they would just, you know what I mean? I guess really the idea is to look at situations where law enforcement or authority does this. They get out of the way of what their job is or what their job tells them to do and just go into it. It does create a bit of a problem for the people in charge. It's like, oh, I gotta go now sign all these papers, do all this paperwork, do it, blah, 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 blah. Good work though, kid. But then, like, if you look down to the civilian level, if I'm remembering this 100% correctly, a United States veteran worked at CVS. A man ran in to rob the CVS at gunpoint. The United States veteran beat the man, got the gun, and CVS fired him because that is not protocol. True story. So
I heard that. Yeah, I feel like I heard that.
yeah, so it's complicated to see how everything would work if the government would work in that type of fashion, or they would really just say, all right, we were wrong, good work, kid. I'm 39 years old. All right, Finn. Damn.
I have another thingy, McBobber.
Oh, please keep it to yourself. Wait, what do you mean?
No. Oh, fuck. Shit. Zips up. No, I mean, like, I have another argument. Like,
Go ahead.
Like, it's like, alright, let me think. I'm trying to find how to word it. So, alright, prevention, like we are, especially the U.S. government, we have a history of knowing about stuff and not doing anything till it's too late. For instance, there was a case. There was a woman. I forgot her name and shit. But she was investigating suspected terrorists or something like that before 9/11.
Okay.
And she was really on one of the guys, like one of the guys who actually was a part of that helped hijack one of the planes. But her higher up said they told her to back off, basically, and it turned out he was one of the hijackers. So say that our government, the people who are in charge of us, who are sending us out to those types of missions, they know about something, yet they don't act out on it, especially when they have the means to prevent such an event of that caliber, especially. How would you argue against that? Or any of you who are on the pro side, how would you really argue against
Oh, I got this one. Well, the fun
Oh,
thing,
just-
the fun.
Still, sorry.
Because
Make me melt
your lives are at risk
Don't make
at
me
this
melt you,
point.
Gold. Well, one interesting thing I would like to add is that we've been talking about it from a standpoint is like, oh, what would this happen? What would this happen? We also have to remember that the government now has meta-human individuals who can do these type of things. They no longer are just like sitting at a computer like, maybe this is that, maybe that is this. But this also goes into the line of Civil War II, how the idea is basically one of the thousands of people who can see into the future is now a main, like, stay. Not mainstay, but like the main reason that the war has happened is like, oh, he can see into the future. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, while we can look at it like that, we also have to look at like how the situation will be handled now that the government has access to these magical, fantastical, mystical powers. It's like, all right, he is a terrorist. It's like you can tell this woman to stand off, or it could be like she signs this document. She's like, I state that I want a Omega Epsilon 324, which is code for I want a telepath to check him out. And the government, I mean, really, there's no. I guess there is that moral issue of doing it, but at the same time, you have to tell your doctor that you want to die sometimes. So there's always that issue of like, all right, we have granted you access to a telepath who will simply look through this individual's most recent memories, not going history out, but just to see if you're right or this person is a terrorist, or you know what I mean, or that I was gonna say, or they send Batman to break his leg, but I was like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Because what I think with
Hold
a
up.
lot of
Can you give me a second, Van? Fable. You see, the reason it keeps kicking you out, which is weird, is for some reason it says you aren't there, but it's not kicking Janessa out. So I don't really know how to stop that. Yeah. But it's basically saying you're I don't know. You're not there. I can't stop that. So I think it kicks.
save you.
Yeah, I think it kicks you out every 5 or 10 minutes. 10 or 15 minutes, sorry. All right.
Abel, try typing a question if you have a question.
No,
if any.
Yeah, he's been. Oh yeah, he is typing. I swear, early in I said type in podcast chat, because I have been ignoring general.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought, whatever. Van, keep talking. I'm gonna go read the chat.
Yeah, because something I'm noticing with a lot of like the con side is they're not acknowledging that we're not just superheroes like getting dispatched to these different situations. We also have superheroes that can work with like our dispatchers that can tell us. We have superheroes that can be used as tools now. We have people with clairvoyance. We have people who look into the future. We have people who can, well, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and like say Jack, for example. He has a clairvoyance. You could just throw him into the mix, and he could tell you, oh, okay, so this is what we're dealing with. Kind of like what Blur said with the Flash. You can just tell him to go in. He'll come right back. He'll tell you what's going on. Things like that. We have the superheroes aren't just there for like war or fighting back. They're also there to like serve as, you know, intel, recon. They can tell you what we're dealing with. They're not just. I mean, because I think a big example of this strays from Marvel and DC, but a good anime that I've watched that really touches on the subject of registry, I think, is One Punch Man, quite perfectly, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because
sorry, Van. Keep going.
Because you have all these heroes, and yeah, there are some that are unregistered, but you have the ones that are, and those are being used.
Hold on, I mean Orbital. Let Van finish.
Yeah, and those heroes are being used to like survey the situation, and when they don't just like, they don't stop the heroes from doing, you know, small, you know, holding up store crimes. They don't stop heroes from doing that. They look at the more colossal situations. Say like, you have some sort of Titan creature destroying the city. They want heroes that can deal with that sort of situation, or aliens are on Earth. They don't just stop heroes from dealing with the small things. They want to look at the bigger picture. What can potentially destroy the face, like mankind altogether. That's
I have.
no,
Sorry.
go on. No, go on.
I have a question then.
First, it's me, then it's me, then Orbital, then Shift. All right. So,
Alright.
So yeah, the idea basically is superheroes are now a job. It's now a job to be a hero, a superhero. I mean, it's already been a job. Thank God for the cops and the firemen and the strippers that keep this country together. But being a superhero is not a job. You no longer have to be Clark Kent and Superman. Well, you know what I mean. You don't have to work at the Daily Planet and be Superman. It's like I'm no longer sitting around in my classroom doing work until I get like a text message. Oh my God! A Dominator from the CW versus attacking a baby clinic. It's like, no, now my job is constantly to just run around the city and check and make sure everyone is okay, instead of like taking 5 minutes out of my 30-minute class to go look. All right, and that's where I finished. Orbital.
Okay, so y'all are talking about America's government. What about like China's government? They have like heroes, you know.
Okay,
they
fun fact.
sign theirs up, and then it might be a war, you know,
Well,
because
fun
they're
fact, China does actually do that. China, I told you about this. China doesn't actually, in the Marvel comics, and I think DC, they don't treat their heroes like heroes. In fact, they don't call them superheroes. They call them I forget. There's this. Hold on, who are you spanking gold?
In the DC universe.
I keep hearing.
Yeah.
He being the fuck out his meat, yo. No mercy.
Where is my money?
He's big like
Good sex should always sound like sandals hitting your kitchen floor.
Alright, but seriously though.
Taking care of business. Taking care of business.
I can imagine him saying that with like a leather like tutu on and his nipples pierced, just taking care of business. But yeah, for China, it's just like they treat their heroes like government agents. They basically they're ahead of the curve on registering. They have their own government-sponsored superhero task force and all that. So China does that. As for other heroes, I would suspect that other governments like the UN would be like. Well, the thing about registration, it's dependent on the country. Like the only people who registered was America and the comics. Heroes who didn't really feel like registering left the country. Like the Thing went to France. But I would suppose if other governments did get into the get into the idea of registering, I don't.
Because then they could assassinate us. They can assassinate Americans. Then we're like, oh no.
Well, I think they're already assassinating Americans. But I understand what you're trying to get. But the idea is basically, I want to say it's like a nuke. It's like setting off nukes to go fight each other. But superheroes and supervillains already do like the whole fighting. So it's like now you're having superheroes fight superheroes, and like way back in the
pros and cons fighting each other. Then there's just
like way back in the idea. Like Shift and I both said it's right and wrong. So it really depends, because I believe that the UN would step in and go like, listen, we really do not trust the way you treat your superheroes or your metahumans or any of them. We noticed that a large amount of children with superpowers down in Johannesburg are going missing. So we kind of want to like investigate. We want to make sure that you aren't like messing around trying to make just superpowered child soldiers and all that. So the idea basically is like, at one point metahumans, superhumans, you know what I mean, are no longer viewed as humans in certain governments' eyes. They're viewed as weapons, and that's probably when other countries will start stepping in and go like, this is not right. We're gonna have to start stepping up our game. It's like nukes. It's like once we find out you have nukes, we go in and we tear your house apart, and then we find out, oh, you didn't have nukes. Not making a statement, but it's similar to that.
Not saying any names. Not pointing any fingers.
I like how Shift's like, what happened? Which one of us had nukes? Which one? It was Luna, wasn't it? She had fucking nukes. I fucking knew it.
She had nukes on the moon.
I see what you did there.
So.
Hey, but.
Yeah, shift. What's up?
Question though.
Yes.
But depending on the level of like, say, a person who has clairvoyance or who can see the future, or if they're accurate with it, then what's the point of registration if they know the future?
There's a point. What's the point of what?
what's the point of registration if
Oh, I
they
thought you
already
said
know the
replication.
future?
I was like, what the heck? What is the
And,
point
like,
of registration if they
especially
know
since,
the future?
Yeah, it's like think about it too. Like a lot of comics in general are based off of like real world stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are corrupt governments in comics within comics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then based off.
Oh, I know what
government.
you're talking about. I get what you're talking about. So you're like, if the government registers like a metahuman who
Yeah,
can look into the future and is like, oh, another 9/11 is going to happen.
Yeah, and like especially if like
I'm glad you asked. Okay.
like if you have like common sense and you like just think about it, like
No, I know what
yeah,
you're, I know
our
what you're saying.
government
I know what you're saying. I
be
got you.
corrupt. Like
But what
yeah,
you're basically
they
asking
know they're
is,
gonna do something.
if the government
Or, like,
was
they
to
know-
sit around with a metahuman who could see into the future and tell them every single issue, it's like, all right, who's going to get robbed in the tiniest town in America? Or are they just going to keep on looking out for like the giant threats? It's like there's so many. And even then, time, yes, she's a beautiful mistress. Fuck gravity. Time is a beautiful mistress.
Hey,
She
gravity
changes.
is nuts.
She's constantly fuck whatever Charles Xavier said in Days of Future Past. You throw a rock into the river, but the river continues, or whatever. No, time will continue to change. No matter how many times you look in the future, the safest idea would be like having 5 people who can look in the future and go like, "Hey, do you see this?" No, not really. Like, let me think. There was a scene in Spider-Man a long time ago where Spider-Man's aunt went missing, and he went to Jean Grey, one of the most powerful or not Jean Grey, Hope Summers. I think it was Hope. Rachel, Jean. He went to a mutant at the X-Men, and she basically looked into the future or current time or whatever. They're bad at explaining.
Oh, I know how to explain Marvel's future things.
No, no.
Who? Kitty Pryde? Or whatever her name is?
No. But basically, Spider-Man's like, "Can you find my aunt?" And she looked, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't see her. I just see a grave." And he's like, "Oh my God, my aunt is dead." And he's like, "Oh, she's gonna be dead. She is dead." No, turns out his aunt was in the grave. A man had put her in the grave. He's like, "You're gonna live in there for a couple of months. You're gonna be fine though." The idea is, it depends on like the aptitude and the strength of that metahuman's ability, and especially since it's like, all right, if someone right now in modern day could look into the future and see that as like, oh, a building blew up. I was like, what building? That's a good question. This building looks just like the building down the street, but also looks like the building over there in Russia. It's like, oh, that doesn't help. So it's like you also have to be very mindful and careful about what an individual with that type of power tells you, because not every one of them is true. Time can change. An event can change. Like a time traveler can come from the future and basically like, I know what happens. I'm just going to swerve it around. And someone could be like, oh, so a person who sees from the future stopped something bad or something good for you from happening. So you're back in time to stop him. Why didn't he see you? Because it's like, I was born 100 years. Why would a telepath look 100 years in the future to see me coming? Good point.
I'm talking about like, what if they see the end result of the registration, or like they know who's in charge of the registration's doing, or what our politicians are doing, or whatever. Like,
okay, so you're saying
like,
you're asking
no,
like if a metahuman goes like, I know what you're up to, right?
yeah, something like that. Like,
Didn't our president
I
say
know-
grab you by the
I know
pussy?
planning.
Wait.
Didn't we grab?
I have
I gotta go to shift. Jesus, this conversation takes too long. We're gonna do 2 more questions. We're gonna do shift and then we're gonna do van. And we're done. Right? Shift.
Oh,
Our
that was
president.
my question. Like,
Huh?
that was my question. Like,
Yeah, I
what
know.
if like they know?
No, shift. I'm pretty sure our president has sex with women who's not his wife, and we already know, and it doesn't change shit. It would
Politics. You can't do that.
I said my president. You have a different president. From last I checked, you weren't from here.
Oof.
Let me mute him real quick before he says anything. He's muted. I'll unmute you when this is over. But I guess the real question is like, what happens today if stuff like that happens? You know what I mean? They get yelled at. Nothing really changes. They fire someone. They switch him out for someone either better or worse. Oh, there goes Janessa. Either better or worse. All right.
Because I have 2 comments towards what Shift was trying to say. And the first one was, what's the whole point of like having clairvoyance in a registry? Well, you gotta think about it. You can't, if there's 2 things that happen when you're not registered. You're not protected by the government, so you're liable for whatever happens to you. And secondly, everything, if you just so happen to turn up and you're become a problem for like the heroes who are registered, then obviously you're gonna become a target of disturbance. But the purpose of, I think what you're trying to say is, okay, so the purpose of having a registry is so that if anything goes wrong, there's someone responsible for it. You don't want some random wayward metahuman stepping into the scene and accidentally fucking up and making every superhuman look bad. It's like, you don't want one bad hero who did his job wrong to define what it means to. You don't want one person.
Like stereotypes.
It's like when we have scapegoating. You don't want one person's bad thing to reflect on how everybody else is. If one superhero fucks up, you don't want every superhero being looked bad at. You don't want that wayward metahuman making the ones that are actually doing their job right look bad. You don't want the wayward superhero getting involved in things he probably couldn't have done. Because a lot of wayward, it's disorganized when you're not in the registry, and that's why it can get pretty. That's why we need it's kind of like,
who paid for the hero destruction?
Damage control. Continue, Van.
That's for Marvel.
See, because I get what you're saying. It's like, I get what you're trying to say. It's why are we relying on people who probably know less than us to control people that, know more? And I get that. But you gotta think about it. It's all about being responsible and making, because like I said, there's really nothing holding you back from you don't exactly have to register. It's probably enforced that you do. But if you don't, the only two real repercussions are anything that happens to you is now your liability. The registry does not want to have anything to do with you, and probably doesn't want you disturbing. They don't want an inconvenience, is what they don't want. They don't want a random superhero coming in and saying,
I don't want to be rude, but after Van's finish, I'm going to read off this list and we move on to the last topic, because this one's pushing a bit too long.
Basically, what I'm trying to say, I'm going to try to wrap this up. They want organized. They want structure. They don't want a wayward metahuman making all their actual registered metahumans look bad. They don't want disturbances and inconveniences. That's why they have the registry. But like Blur said, if you put 8 humans in one room, they're all gonna have different ideas. That's why you probably won't have the quickest response times, because you have humans who have different ideas, humans who probably don't even believe in a superhuman registry. You have people like that. You have conservatives, Democrats, things like that. It gets nuanced. Right. So that's probably why I get what you're saying. Is we can't exactly trust them 100%, but it's a lot better than having one superhero throw himself in a battle thinking he knows what is right, when he probably might just screw up the whole operation.
Alright. Cool. Thanks, Van. And that, everyone, was the longest conversation we've ever had besides what is God. But that was fun, man. Yeah, we did.
Fun fact.
But one last thing I'd like to say, I'd like to read off this list I made a couple years ago based on who is where and where is who. Pro Registry, Kid Blur, Apple Van Jack, Tiberius, Fable, Arctile, Upstarter, Sentinel EXE, Danny Ash, Raikou Uzumaki, and Frostine. For those against registration, Kid Shift, Luna Ember, My Arch Nemesis, Series McFarlane, Kid Spellbound, Xena Kamita, Darkstrike 0720, Runny Boy, Roxy Star, Decian, and Frozone. So yeah, that. Oh, god dang, my shoe was stuck. But yeah, who's playing Space Invaders? Shift.
Shift is type.
Hey, that's how he types? That's disgusting. I thought he was playing
Fortnite. Turn it off, dude. I don't know how to fucking turn it off. This
Yeah.
vibration shit coming.
Ring.
But yeah, oh boy, that was a long, God-forsaken conversation. That was with
It was
less.
a good topic. I mean, it's a good topic.
It was, but it was long.
I mean, you have 7 humans in one group chat.
Yeah, and all of them think different, you know.
And only
Yeah,
3
yeah.
of them couldn't talk. Okay, next conversation is a bit dark, so please, let's do some jokes. Let's light up.
But
What is this boy typing?
No, but you can't make any jokes. Jokes, I mean, towards specific groups of people.
All right, those Russians.
Nope,
Jeez.
you're right. He can't speak. Oh man, but seriously, this is 2018 first month has been weird for me. Hold up. What I'm saying might come off. Oh, you want me to read this out loud or no?
No, this is for the previous topic. I was just getting that so I wouldn't forget.
Is that,
Oh, okay.
Where is he writing?
He wrote it in the podcast chat.
Okay.
Once again, our sponsor.
that took you forever.
He's typing on his phone, not on the computer. Once again, Spotcast. The sponsor for this podcast is Discord. Discord. Talk with your friends, not your league. Hey, I like that one actually.
Also,
Even though that's not
everyone's allowed, even Nazis.
Oh, orbital.
Really quiet.
Oh, sweetie.
Technically,
Oh, sweetie, no.
I'm right. I'm right though.
Not in a German
yeah.
Discord. Not in a German
Technically-
Discord.
technically, you're right. I mean,
Not in
but
my Discord.
Not in my.
No,
I mean, not in my Discord. I'm sorry.
hashtag not my Discord.
Shoot.
But yeah, we hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. That was pretty much the pro registry. We lost Wicked. I want to say 30% in, and Janessa dropped out, but I'm not gonna say anything about that because there's really nothing wrong with dropping in. We do hope you guys are enjoying it. I think I said that like 3 times already. Mainly because I'm trying to think of the next topic that isn't God like aggressive, because we really went into that one. Like that one was a bit, that had too much politics than I thought. Let's see, who here plays Fortnite besides me and Orbital and Shift, kind of,
You guys talking PS4, PC?
in general.
Either.
I do.
Gold,
I don't have it.
you need to download it. It's free.
We said you
Why
need
you holding
to,
back, buddy boy?
because he likes the pocket pussy.
What?
Speak
Repeat that, Orbital.
English.
What happened?
He likes to what?
He likes the pocket pussy.
Oh. I thought he said something about hogs. I was like, what the heck is a hog? Ew, no. He likes the pocket pussy.
Just to clarify,
Oh, by the way, this is his voice for everything.
relations with that object.
I wasn't paying attention. Did he say he likes to finish in the pocket pussy and drip it on his
Yes.
sheets?
He likes to
Yes.
finish in the
Nigga, no.
I thought that he said, oh, I'm finished. It's full. Spill it on the sheets.
Oh god. Oh, it's still got some from last week. Fuck.
That is some strong sperm there, Gold. Gold, let me ask you a question.
It's gotta smell bad though.
What the? Man, calm down there. Anyways, Gold, let me ask you a question.
Well,
From the back or from the front?
Oof.
Think wisely.
Now he's asking serious questions. He's asking, he's not asking, are you a boob or an ass man? He's asking, are you a pussy or an ass man?
Mm-hmm.
Gee.
let's from a
No,
bag.
no, 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 no. You, hold on.
Be quiet, Orbo.
Remember when we had to make him say the N word and we all just got quiet like shh, shh.
Yes, so quiet.
Alright, continue, Gold.
Is middle an option?
What is with this?
Middle. Middle.
Oh, last night we were
What
like,
he said? What he said? This
He's-
night, he's medium. He said.
we asked him yesterday, hey Gold, what is the skin color of your girlfriend? He's like, I'm gonna say medium. I was like, what is medium? Medium ain't a skin color. I put up a picture of 6 women, and he's like, between.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, he was like, between 5 and 6. And I was like, that's still medium gold. Just making me sick. Ugh.
I was like, why did he send that?
I mean, but she is.
She's medium.
He can't. He can't say light skin.
Wow.
He can't say mocha skin or light skin. He has to call you a medium. What is a right to you, Gold? What is right? What skin color is right?
Oh, we're getting racist? No, for sure.
No. Answer that. What skin color is right?
That's a great question.
Actually,
Red.
No. Hold on. He's speaking.
7.
thinking somewhere like G.
G.
I almost done that. Like G is.
G as in green.
What's
He
your...
likes green
Oh,
skin.
okay. I got it.
G flat.
What? Okay. All right. Done with that. I'm done with him. Get lost.
Somewhere around like yeah, somewhere around.
Okay.
So around there.
Somewhere around
It's
G and
somewhere-
G flat.
Somewhere between an African American and a Latino.
Oh.
Latina.
Oh. Go.
That's still a big. There's
I
still
don't
a
know,
bunch
he's-
of shades in between that.
He is. Yeah. I like that he's still saying medium. He's not. He's saying medium again. Somewhere
Have
between.
Have you ever seen a black white person?
Yes. We call him Eminem a lot.
What?
We call him Eminem.
No. I mean like a white person that's just black.
You mean an albino? Wait, you mean a reverse albino? What are you
Yes.
talking about?
Yes, a reverse albino. Have you ever seen one?
No.
Are you talking about the Night Seekers?
Actually. What?
Oh, you
No,
mean
we're done with this. We're done with this before this goes horrible. Horribly.
I'm looking it up.
I didn't realize who was
looking it up.
asking the question until right now. We're done with this.
Looking over, bro.
But
I mean, it's-
the reason I asked about Fortnite is because me and Orbital and Wicked have been playing a lot, and one thing I've realized is the map update is kind of weird. You know?
I have not seen it. I have not paid too much attention.
Basically, all the update is the west part of the map has a city and some small industrialized areas, and that's pretty cool. It's interesting. Everybody goes to the west coast to like get gear and all that, so we always land in the east coast to not die. However, you quickly start going through the place. Like the reason, okay, the west coast basically has the cities. It has these small but tightly packed areas. And you would think like, oh, with all that stuff, it makes it harder to have a fight, or it makes it easier to run away. And it doesn't actually. It doesn't help thin the herd as much as it should, because there's so many places to run, yet there's so many places you can kill yourself, and everybody has the same idea. Land on a rooftop, and you can break your way down. But in the end, it's almost like you're destroying the entire city until you get to some stairs. People always end up like building bases in the city, and it's like, Orbital, what's your thought on this, on the map update?
I think it's detailed. The map is detailed actually, and you know the city. I don't really go there because I die. I never actually like explored because every time I would just look at my phone and just die. And I like the little soccer thing, but it's a glitch. There's a glitch over there. Don't go there. You get stuck in between the goal and the wall. Heads up, 7 up.
I like how my question was, Orbital, what is your detailed thoughts on the new map? Nigga, that's soccer field though. That
Hey,
shit
it
goes
did
hard.
kill me though. It killed me.
It does.
What I find really funny is how he's actually giving you a very good answer. He's not like these other conversations where he was just like asking really dumb questions.
Hey, dude.
Hey, dude.
Okay. In your defense,
Van,
let me just-
gay voice.
Don't be racist now.
No.
not
You
racist.
remember? You
No.
remember last night?
Not a race. What the fuck?
Do what you did last night.
No, please.
Do it.
He's holding me hostage in his basement, helping people. Hi, help me, viewers.
Do it.
Like this video, and he'll give me 1 grain of rice.
Watch us get 100 likes. I have I have. What's that one? That old black man that looks like Bill Cosby on the rice box. Whatever. Anyways, so we could talk about that YouTube thing, or we could call it a night. It's up to you guys.
I don't really know much about that YouTube thing, so I'm gonna call it a night.
Everyone else?
Good talk.
I mean, I could probably talk about it. I know. I think I'm well suited to talk about it, but I'm not a professional.
All right. Well,
So
I'll just
do
like
YouTube.
explain. I'll just explain it. We don't have to talk about it. I'll explain it. So, essentially, YouTube has a new deal that's a bit annoying. Originally, a couple weeks ago, I think two, Jovi, Dante, and Wicked commented in our Discord saying, "Hey, maybe when I finally get back to my channel, I'll start monetizing." And I told them there's a threshold. Two, actually. One, your channel has to make $100 every time. And if you do not pass that $100, you do not get the ability to pull any income out. Second, hold on, I gotta mute Shift real quick.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Second, you have to have 10,000 views. Basically, you have to have 10,000 people watch you. And people were a little upset about that, but it's like, okay, cool. However, there's a new update. And the update is so appalling. It is painful. You have to have either 1,000 subscribers or have 4,000 hours watched in a year, I'm sorry. And if you don't, you basically do not get to monetize. And what I mean by that is, like, you have to people have literally to watch your video for, let me see. Let's say you post oh crap, almost dropped my phone again. Let me get my calculator. I'm very bad at math, so if this is wrong, sorry. Okay, 4,000 divided by, oh, I hate time. 12. Whatever. I'm bad at math. That came out to like a letter. Anyways, what I mean by 4,000 hours is basically, let's say you have a 1-minute video and 1,000 people watch that. That is 1,000 minutes. Now just keep going until you meet 4,000 hours. That is a ridiculous amount of time for any channel. And people are always complaining. Exactly what Shift said. People are complaining about it, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you just want the money and all that." But no, you see, the thing about it is, originally YouTube has set the standard. The 1,000 view standard basically meant once you reach that 1,000 views, or not 1,000, 10,000 views. Once you meet that 10,000 views, you can monetize, and you might get a little extra. Because for YouTube, the idea of views, retention, or how much the people watch, and money is the same thing. If you're not either at 1,000 subscribers and making 4,000 hours of watched content, YouTube will not promote your videos, and thus smaller channels will not be seen, and they will not be able to grow. And it's essentially just killing small channels. I'm gonna unmute Shift because I'm tired of him typing.
No, don't tell me I'm typing right now.
He's still typing.
Oh well, you can speak
You
it.
see this? Okay.
Alright, Blood.
Yes,
Small channels are the lifeblood of YouTube!
I moved him to Dairy Queen. I don't
He
fucking
died.
laughing.
He died. He just disappeared at that. He faded into the wind. He turned into
I dropped him in Dairy Queen. I'm about to bring him
Because he's
back.
black.
No, I don't like yelling. I don't like yelling. What were you saying?
Fuck. Small channels are the lifeblood of YouTube.
They were.
They are.
They were until, big channels started getting like all that good stuff. And the reason everyone's really upset though is because they're blaming individuals like Logan Paul, Jake Paul. I don't know why they keep blaming PewDiePie. The N-word is said.
Oh, he said the N-word or something like that,
Yeah.
or he made a rape joke or something. I forgot what it was.
It was the
You
N-word.
slip up one stream and everybody persecutes you for it.
He said the
My
N-word.
God.
That was pretty
But
much
the
it.
thing is, iDubbbz, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares, exactly.
Right.
But the reason people care about him is because he's the biggest YouTuber. But
Who cares?
Everybody likes to think. Everybody likes to think PewDiePie is like the face of YouTube.
exactly.
That he's like this icon, like this YouTube god.
And no offense to anyone who likes PewDiePie, but for me, I personally think he's a silent meme.
No.
everyone,
He's
he's the biggest YouTuber, and everyone's like, I'm a jump on that.
I don't know. I'm into him.
Yeah, it's like everyone sees you. This dude is like, oh, he's got 37 million subscribers. Let me jump in that real quick and be one of those 37 million, because it's like, I don't watch his content, but hey, YouTube dealt with that at one point. They're like, people who aren't watching your content, we're literally just going to unsubscribe them, which failed. But the main thing we derailed off. It's basically the bigger channels are making YouTube money, so they're not going to mess with them anymore. Because a big channel like iDubbbz, whatever, he's gonna make those 4,000 hours of watch time. He's gonna make he definitely has more than 1,000 subs. So he's not
Say the N-word.
say the N-word. He's not gonna mess up. Right. There's no word. But these larger channels are the ones that are messing up. These smaller channels, like if we posted the video in China or Japan, I'm sorry, we posted the video. We went in Japan. Let's say me and Orbital had that video where we went into the suicide forest and we recorded the man being hung, and Orbital took a baseball bat and whacked his leg.
Why do I have to be in this? Why me?
What do you even do?
It is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And Orbital's like, there's candy in him, and shoved the thing up his behind. And we posted that video. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about what that actually looked like. And we posted the video. We would probably get 137 views and then permanently banned from Google 10 minutes after. Logan Paul doesn't. Nothing. He deleted it himself.
Yeah.
He got flashback. I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? He got flack from everyone. However, there's one YouTuber I follow, and he basically said, yes, he had to delete the video because everyone was hating on him, but the video, for I think 2 days, had a majority of likes.
Yeah.
His followers.
Low game.
Yeah,
Low
his
game.
followers didn't care. They just like the content. And YouTube is like, okay, he's making us money. We'll deal with it after. We'll deal with the little subscribers after. Like, the idea basically is these larger YouTubers are the ones messing up, and the smaller YouTubers are failing for it because we're not going to get anywhere doing that. Like, we don't care about the money. But the fact is, this whole thing stops us. For some reason, it annoys the heck out of me, because the math they did. Remember the $100 threshold? You have to make $100 to be able to pull out the money.
Yeah.
They said they did a math. 90% of all small YouTube channels that didn't of last year didn't even make $4. So what? In the 10%, they were close to reaching 100. So why would you like focus on like taking the money when we know we're not going to make money? We know we're not going to. But it's disturbing that the idea of making money for YouTube affects how they promote a channel. If you are not the poster child for their ideals or anything else like it, you will not be viewed, and thus you're screwed, and there's no growth for you on this platform.
Well, let me just step in for a second, because there's a whole video PewDiePie did on the situation, and I have to like call out to a couple of his points that did make sense to me. Yeah, I mean, it is rather inconvenient that we have a whole bunch of small channels, you know, feeling like this terrible wave. They're basically being bashed on, is what everybody's seeing it as. But you have to remember that YouTube has to kind of work like a business in order to stay afloat too. You can't just give everybody monetization, because there's content that just shouldn't be on YouTube, quite frankly, for some cases.
Agreed.
And then then you have, I mean, it's like a job. For sometimes YouTube is kind of like a job, an optional one. You can decide when to go in a hiatus and whatnot, but it's like a job. You have to grind in order to make up for what you think you deserve. It's like you don't just, for a lot of people, you don't just start at the bottom and then next day you're at the top, or even in a couple of months, or even in a couple of years. It's you gotta make references. You have to like get exposure. YouTube is about, you know, pulling out content. It's about entertainment. The whole purpose is that you're supposed to see. It's competitive. It's pretty competitive. You have to try to make more. You're supposed to try to keep views. I'm trying to remember the exact points that PewDiePie made because they made sense. It's YouTube. It just happens that this whole update just happens to be around the same time Logan Paul did his slip up, and that's really unfortunate. And even PewDiePie's slip ups, which are indefensible, but you gotta remember that YouTube has a lot of channels that just shouldn't be up when you think about it. Like those ISIS videos that still get ads for no good reason. Those videos where people are actually getting mauled to death or mangled or whatever, those shouldn't be up there getting monetized.
And the child pornography videos.
Yeah, and those, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube that right now, or it was, I'm not sure if, like, they implemented it yet, but...
Here's the thing, though, Van. I understand where you're coming from. Oh, wait, no, these are PewDiePie's views. Never mind, keep going.
No, yeah.
I'll fight him later.
See, because the thing is, YouTube has always been a grind. You don't just start at the bottom and next week or next month or next year you have, like, the biggest following. You have to creatively find your way up the corporate ladder almost. It's a business. YouTube runs like a business. They want people who pull views. They want people who bring in enjoyable content that will bring in more ads, because quite frankly, like, everybody's taking a big hit from that whole Wall Street Journal with PewDiePie thing. So they just want people who aren't gonna slip up as often, like Logan Paul and PewDiePie are.
But did PewDiePie also remember to remind people how the Times, whatever, the Washington Post messed up?
No, yeah.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying, because the media is impressionable.
Yeah.
They don't. It's almost like saying TV is fighting entertainment online, almost. It's competitive. You don't want sponsors from, like, your small article or from your TV show pulled because they're all going to YouTube. It's the business. It's competitive. You don't want. It's impressionable. They see that PewDiePie, one of the biggest YouTubers of right now, they're saying the N-word. They're gonna be like, oh no, we gotta pull this right away because he encourages negative behavior. He encourages people saying the N-word. He encourages Nazi propaganda. But that's because advertisers are impressionable by what everybody else is saying, like the Wall Street Journal. Their opinion might not their opinion shouldn't mean anything, but because there's a big following to the Wall Street Journal, it's a market that these advertisers still need to get. These advertisers are pulling out because they see these big YouTubers and they're like, well, they're fucking up. They're saying we can't just advert a video that is encouraging negative behavior or would make our brand look bad. And that's what YouTube's trying to stop. Little channels, it's discouraging. I get it. It's like saying, okay, so you guys are gonna get cut. Your benefits are gonna get cut, even though you didn't make anything at all, basically. But if you want to be up here, you're gonna have to try just a little harder, or even just a lot harder. But it's a grind.
But the grind,
it's business.
The grind is completely different, though, than what it used to be. While I do respect all these larger YouTubers for getting where they are, how YouTube started is completely different than how it is now. Anybody could have gone and signed up for Google ad revenue. Wicked did. All of the people did. Back in the day, you would have to have YouTube or YouTube personally allow you to. You would have to sign up, and it would take months, some even years, to be allowed to take ad revenue from anything. And that's when it used to be good. Then all of a sudden, YouTube's like, let's give it to everyone. And it's like, I understand that's like the incentive for them to bring in content creators, but like, and I know there's so many people, like they're like what they said, 90% of all of small channels of last year didn't make past $2. That's great, but there's got to be more than 5 million small channels. So
Yeah,
so 10% out of yeah, more. Let's be a little extreme. Let's say there's 8 million small channels of last year. 90% of them didn't even make $3. 10% of them were close to making 100. So it's like, while I do understand that YouTube's like, oh, we're gonna take the ads away from you and all this. Doing that does affect the small channels. Like, everybody has to now do this whole thing. Well, I believe YouTube has the ability, because they're pretty much saying it, they have the ability to know who and what percent is making like the specific amount. For me, this is just a personal fix for the small channel thing. I don't care that the money isn't coming, but the fact that they are connecting money to promotion of a small channel is disturbing to me. I believe small channels should be viewed to small people. So other small channels are just viewers, or even maybe in the low level of the recommendation box on the far right of a large YouTuber. Let's say that. But I do not believe the amount of money we make should affect like that where it shows up. Let's say my video ends up on Rooster Teeth's channel because I'm able to make let's say I'm able to make like $700 a video. All right, that's great. YouTube's looking at me great. We'll put you on the second to last on the recommendation because you're not making thousands a video. You're making 700. That's great. It's not good. I mean, I'm sorry. That's good. It's not great. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for us, it's like they can look and see how many of us are making close to that threshold. Not even that, just past it. I feel like they should keep using that math, that algorithm, or whatever the frick they've been doing, and go like, all right, this channel has applied for AdSense. We're going to keep an eye on him, or the system's going to keep an eye on his channel, see how it goes, and if he is worthy of it, we'll send it over to a human. Human will go stamp. He's able to take ads. He's able to get paid for what he does now. Because I know there are definitely, like, again, 10% of 8 million is still a big freaking number. All right?
Yeah.
So it's still, like, looking through and it's like, okay, out of that 10%, 8% of them stopped making videos after a while. So they're definitely not going to get AdSense. So we have to still look at that 2%. 2% of 10 million. We're looking at 2 million. Oh, I'm sorry, 8 million. There's so many ways to fix YouTube, but then there's so much, like, they really love to push in the fact there's like, you don't understand how, I'm not saying this is what YouTube would like to say. YouTube loves to push the fact there's like, you do not understand how many people are out there making YouTube channels. You don't have a clue. So us looking at every single video is too much to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so even like using the meta tags and description and SEO, it doesn't really help if YouTube is not helping. Like, we can stick our hand out and YouTube, like, all I want is YouTube just to gently touch my pinky, just gently caress my pinky. That's all I want, instead of them singing to the next girl.
No, what the problem with YouTube is, I'm not gonna lie, there are probably some some strings being pulled. It's not like I said, it's a business. It's not everybody's morally correct, or not even the algorithm could be correct, or how they're working on it. Because the thing is, they're not communicating with their content creators. They're not saying, "Oh, we would like to have your input on this." Oh,
not to be rude, they did mention that. They did say, "Oh, we talked to content creators, and this is what that was a good idea." I would like to know who they talked to. I want to know, did they talk to Casey Neistat or did they talk to Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah, because they're probably talking to like people who had the money before they started YouTube and just started bringing it in, because
exactly,
they already had a following. But when you have people like H3H3, or you have people like, I don't know what happened, Grade A Under 8, who I guess they didn't have the money to just start. They just somehow on their way up there. And the thing is, YouTube has like strings pulled towards favoring money or people who just naturally bring views because that's what they've been doing their whole lives. But when it comes to like H3H3, they brought it up before. There's strings definitely being pulled, and there's a lot of miscommunication and almost hardly any communication at all, because even PewDiePie's mentioned it, Jacksepticeye has mentioned it. They're not communicating with anybody. They just give us a vague a vague comment as to what's to come. It doesn't make sense. But then we have certain changes, like the one we have now, where now little channels are getting bashed on because it just didn't make the cut. But nobody knew what that was coming.
Exactly.
They said they were asking people, but who did they ask?
Exactly. And actually, before I make this last comment, anyone have any comments, questions, concerns other than Van? Like, anyone have a
No.
No, not really. I think everything's really been said.
Gold?
Well, I was gonna bring up something like small, because one thing I do keep hearing about is they've talked about Bitcoin and not getting into that, but the thing I keep hearing about personally is Patreon. Do you think that perhaps it could be an alternative?
That's the worst part about it. I was gonna mention it. YouTube legit hates external revenue. If you do not reach a certain level, YouTube turns off your Patreon link. That is how a lot of creators make money. If you do not reach a certain level or your video doesn't, YouTube goes like, well, that Patreon link just needs to boop. It's gone now. And that's why it's like a pain. Even if you have, think about it. If our channel had 300 subscribers and we were selling like merchandise and we actually had a Patreon where it's like, oh, just $20 a month. That's all we need. Like, let's say that's our income. You go and you buy shirts. Like, okay, there's 300 people. Let's say our shirts are, give me the amount. Give me this damn phone, baby.
$10.
Let's say our shirts are $12.
$5.
Shut up. $12.80. Because we're cheap like that. We're nice. Straight out of Wisconsin. Look at our Teespring link down below. Anyways, so $12.80. Let's say out of those 100 subscribers, 200 of them are hardcore. So let's say 17 people buy a shirt. That's $217.06 right there. That's just people buying the shirts. Let's say people, and then there's the $20 of the Patreon. You don't reach that link, you don't reach that amount, they cut you off. It's just mind blowing. Because again, now it's 1,000 subscribers in 4 hours. So now that person with the 500 subs, his video is no longer growing. They're not being as shared. Not everyone is going to watch every single one of your videos. You're losing people. You're losing revenue after that part. All right. Instead of 17 people buying your shirts, 4 people are buying your shirts. And 12 times 4 does not go past 100, my friend. Wait, does it? No. God damn it! Now I gotta check. $12.80 times 4. $51.02 or 20 cents. This phone is broke. But let me see. Yeah, I guess it's time to wrap up. I guess the last thing I have to say. Oh wait, no. Did I answer your question, Gold? It's just worrisome because Patreon's basically now going to be shut. Like, people have to like go into the videos and really push the Patreon. A lot of viewers do not like it when YouTubers go like, "Yo,
Patreon."
He's like, no, it's like, yo.
They don't.
There's.
Yeah, they don't.
Let me think. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. But the people are not like, yo, go look at our Patreon. Yeah, Patreon. They want to just put it in the link. It's like, every once in a while, it's like, hey, go check out the Patreon. We wouldn't mind a little bit of backup in there. Well, for some reason, if a person does that once, they're like, stop pushing your.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Twitch. You don't just. A streamer just doesn't just play and he's just plugging his donations box every other 5 minutes. It's just open there. He's the thing is, it's like with a lot of these YouTubers, they're like, I don't want to say naive. That's the wrong word. It's more I guess a little arrogant, or they're just plugging it every time they can because they're clearly doing it for the money. But then you have these smaller YouTube channels that are trying to humbly put it right, like let you know, oh, it's there if you have any, it's almost like panhandling. Yeah, and it's kind of it's a little disheartening to look at, but I can get where they're coming from, you know.
And it's bad when that happens. It's bad when the small channel, but it's really bad when your channel with 1 million subscribers has to go like, YouTube's kind of messing up and we need a Patreon. Like, that is really bad. Because even if you are big, you are not making like an income. Like, that's just because I complained about it. It's like, how do you have 1 million people watching your, not a million, let's say, how do you have 10,000 people watching your videos, but you have 242,000 subscribers? This is one of those situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, as much as we like to keep on going, it looks like we are running out of time. My producer is aiming his baby bottle at me. So I guess this last thing I have to say about this is the CEO of YouTube stated this a while ago. And this is for anyone who is out there listening thinking they want to be a content creator. And we count as that. YouTube is not a business, and it's not anything. YouTube is essentially Van, stop goddamn typing. Yeah. YouTube is a what does she say? It started with a P. She said YouTube is a crap. What did she say? It's a project. Right. To Google, YouTube is a project. It's not in the phase that people can make money yet. I think she was trying to get around to it. So she was trying to get around it like, we are surprised people are making money because YouTube is not at that point yet. To us, YouTube is still like a project that we're still testing out. So it makes me sit down there and wonder to myself, when you're doing a project, you're trying to turn it in for something. But if you're like a company, you're doing a project to make something better. So unless Google is sitting there like, oh, we have something, a better version of YouTube legit just sitting over there. It's like, what I'm trying to get is, YouTube is a project. It's not something that you can just go into. Even Google and YouTube and Susan Wojcicki, that's the CEO's name. Their main idea is, we understand that it's a bit painful to do this, but what you need to understand is it's not meant to be like this in the first place. And now we're trying to make up for it. But if your baby was not meant to run, or your dog was not meant to sniff like dead bodies, I'm very bad at examples that aren't morbid. It's just not going to work. You can force it as much as you want. You can force it as much as you want, but it's just not going to happen. And if it does,
1738.
You really forced it.
YouTube is just really playing a lot with what they can do.
Yeah, I blame YouTube and I blame the YouTubers. But anyways, that is as much as we got. Oh my goodness. How long have we been going, Mr. Young? My name is Leo Young. We have been going for an hour and 50 minutes, Mr. Young. Awesome. So, what I like to always say is thank you for listening. If you have made it this far, Hive Agenda, you normally do make it. You're just freaking awesome. But we're gonna end it right here. With me again, Apple Van Jack.
I hope y'all have a good evening, good day, good night, or whatever.
Orbital Spirit.
I hope that y'all, don't get deported. Okay.
Okay. Gold. Jesus Christ.
Good night, y'all.
And our new guest, Minor Blackout.
Thanks for sticking with us for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
About us talking about
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's my part.
Oof.
Don't forget to
Check out the Patreon.
and check out our Twitch
This is all
And
my
our
part.
merch.
and our Facebook
And our
and
Twitter.
our YouTube.
Let me show you kids how it's done. And I am Leo Young, your gracious host. If you did like this video, please hit the subscribe button to get access to our notification gong and get updated to our next video. We
Gong?
probably have a JT. Yeah, I called the gong. Everyone calls it the bell, and I was like, we gotta make ourselves different, so we're gonna call it the gong. No, we're not Chinese. We have a video next week, which is the JT plays. Probably gonna play Fortnite. Not Fortnite. We're probably gonna go play. What are we gonna play? We're gonna play DC.
Fable says tata.
VR chat.
Fable says tata. We're gonna go play. What did he just say?
VR chat.
You really want to put me with those goddamn Ugandans? No.
Yes.
I'll put them on boats.
The way.
I feel like I need to black that part out. Anyways,
Say
but
Ugandans.
seriously, if you do want to get updated to our next video, hit the subscribe button and get access to the notification. But if you're not interested, please show your support for us by hitting that like button over there and sharing with your friends and family and commenting, because we really want to hear your thoughts on superhero registration, what YouTube is up to, and what was that other topic we talked about? Batman in the Sanctuary, or DC in the Sanctuary. If you want to, you can also check out our Patreon, $10 a month to get Orbital a brand new mic because mics are expensive. And with that $10, he can buy a $240 mic, which means he will be done in 24 months. 200 months. Hey, we're bad. I'm very bad at math.
We can buy him a muzzle so he doesn't say mean things on the internet.
Or literally,
That's how it works.
or you can go down to our Teespring down in the description below to get a brand new shirt. When was this said? By Golden Sparrow, with a half-naked woman tied onto the bed, pregnant.
I need to get my fucking shirt.
Yeah, I'm just kidding though. There's absolutely no Patreon and all that, anyways. But
Not yet.
Not.
Wait, there isn't?
No, I'm just making a joke because all you guys were like just talking crap, and I just wanted to fuck around with you. But
Oh, we also have a Patreon in our link.
Just shove dollar bills into your computer. We'll
Oh yeah, Fable said this is the long outro.
because it's not the outro.
So next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Bye, everyone. Have a good